So once again, for those of you who just joined us, welcome to our workshop on engaging students to live and act in meaningful ways. And this is going to be a project-based learning activity to help students learn the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. So, did you know that Americans spend, on average, 90% of their day indoors? That is truly an amazing change in our society. And did you know that 1 million plastic bottles are purchased every single minute? And most of them are not recycled. Yes, that varies widely from country to country. Western Europe is a little better, and we're a little bit better, but most of the country is, it just ends up going into landfills or polluting the oceans and all kinds of terrible things there. So, what are we going to be doing today? By the end of this lesson, you will be able to write a lesson plan that identifies who the students are, the learning objectives, the logistics, the assessment, the instructional strategy, and the content for an engaging project on the Sustainable Development Goals. And you'll be able to develop a storyboard for the lesson plan that identifies Gagné's 9 steps of instruction. And as I mentioned, we just went over this not too long ago for some of you. And our agenda is to do some of these things that are indeed the 9 steps of instruction. We started out with an attention step and we covered the objectives. So let's talk a little bit about some of these other things there. So most of you have done lesson plans in the past, do lesson plans every day, and you have probably your own lesson planning template. This is one that I've used for many years. It's a really nice one. It helps you to go through and identify, who your learners are. Sometimes it's easy when it's just a grade level, but sometimes even within a grade level, students can be very different. And logistics has to do with, is it going to be an individual lesson or a group lesson? How long is it going to be? And the rest of the stuff is probably fairly self-evident there. And most of you have written a lot of lesson objectives. If not, this is an example of some of the verbs that you might use. Remember, it has to be an action verb. So if you're just introducing the topic, you're going to use lower level learning. If you're hoping to get the students to really hone their skills, then you're going to use higher level learning and some of these kinds of higher level learning verbs. And the one thing that we always try to discourage is the use of the student will know, the student will understand, the student will learn, because none of those things are something that you can observe. And a lesson objective is supposed to be something that you can actually observe. The instructional strategy that was developed initially by Gagné has 9 steps there. And the really nice thing about it is that you can design almost any kind of a lesson and follow these things, and it will be a good quality lesson. So an attention step can be a story, a statistic, a fact, something like that. I mentioned hopefully what was a startling statistic with people being at home or in the house for 90% of the time. The objectives are what you're going to be able to see them do when they've mastered this particular topic. A prior recall is what do they already know. We just talked a little bit about what you already know. Then you cover the content or the instruction, the overview, the background information. You then show the people what it is that they're supposed to be able to do. It's usually good to break it up into small segments, because we can usually only hold 7 things in our head, plus or minus 2 for most people. Now, I will say that we're violating that a little bit in this lesson because there are 17 sustainable development goals, but we do want to do this quickly, and you can always go back and take a look at it more a little bit later. Then we're going to have a short class activity. Share it there. I'm going to share with you a rubric that we're going to be doing, and how you can apply it to the real world or after the class is over. So I developed this Sustainable Development Goals storyboard. So the attention step was, did you know? The objectives, we have 3 objectives. One is 3 objectives for the students. One is we want, when you're teaching students about sustainable development goals, you want them to identify actions in our little activity. You want them to evaluate how they're doing, and you want them to develop an action plan on how they can do better. Prior knowledge, we've covered some of that. There's also the KWL, which many of you know. And then the instruction is actually on the sustainable development goals. We're going to work on one of the sustainable development goals together. It'll probably be SDG 1 because it's handy. And then you all will take a few minutes. We'll probably, since we're a small group, we'll probably do this together to identify some actions for 1 to 3 sustainable development goals, and then each student would do those in class, in teams, or individually, and then each would look at one of those sustainable development goals at home or school and see how they're doing, and then write the plan. And we have a worksheet for that. The lesson plan calls for discussing it the next day in the teams. So everybody goes home, does their thing, comes back and does a discussion. And then we have the rubric for the improvement plan that they're going to do. At the end of the year, you might want to discuss whether or not they actually made the improvements. So again, did you know that over 500 million people live in extreme poverty, and almost 2 billion people live without clean water? You can ask your students if they know what sustainable development goals are. It's very possible that they don't. And if you give a couple of examples, how well are they doing those now? And how can you make a difference? So what do they know about how do you make a difference in using water, using energy? How are you doing right now? What do you want to know about that, and how will you learn it? So, little instruction on the Sustainable Development Goals. And at a point very soon, right now, I'm going to hand it over to Greta. And Greta, do you want to cover this part, or do you want me to?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
I'm Professor Kishbaugh, and I teach business and management. And Dr. Grinnell and I, Dr. G, we call her, we've been with the kids all day, the high schoolers. And we basically have come up with this idea of introducing the SDGs. And we're just going to briefly, for the sake of the exercises, we've been working with adults and students. We just kind of briefly go over these. So we just want to click through them real quick. Do you have them all on here, all 17?
I have them all, and I have one for each. But again, I agree with you that we don't need to go in detail.
We don't need to go through those, but what we do is we either provide, and we've been to events too, where we either provide like either a poster board, or we put it up on the PowerPoint. Obviously to be sustainable, we like to use, PowerPoint or digital as often as we can, but we have even created a deck of cards, so we can lay the cards out, or we can show them via PowerPoint, and we just briefly go over them, maybe spend about 30 seconds on each one, very briefly. And then we ask them to do a little activity. So we want to move right to the activity, or we've got something before that?
I will move through these very quickly.
Okay, very quickly. Okay.
So to explain that we try to balance the triple bottom line of people, planet, profit, and that these are the sustainable development goals that kind of go into each one of those areas. And then again, very briefly explain what each one of these things is. And so I'm just going to go through it very quickly. Everybody eats, everybody's healthy, reads and writes, women are empowered, safe water, clean energy, good jobs, manufacturing, being fair, reducing inequality, livable cities, reducing waste, slowing global warming, saving the oceans and loving nature, making peace, that would be nice, and developing partnerships so that we can get these things done a little bit better, especially globally.
And if you have more time, this exercise can be done over a couple of days, or it could be something that, you can spend a little more time. So there's all kinds of different things, but we like to get them involved in the class activity, and we want them to take a look at, they grab at least 2 to 3, either from the list, or like we have cards, or they can have a list, or you can have a poster board, and they're going to grab 2 to 3, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to tell us, and you're going to do that real quick. Let's do that, right? We got a few minutes, right? Let's do a quick one. We can do it together.
Yeah.
But basically, you're going to ask them to review the SDGs, and like I said, depending on how much time you have, you can even talk a little bit more about the 17. I think the first time we did this, maybe we spent about a minute on each one, but if you've got more time, and then we're going to ask them to brainstorm what you can do personally, school, and in the community for each. You pick at least 2 to 3. We do 2 to 3. If you've got a larger group, I guess you could pick more, but 2 to 3 seem to be about the right. And then we actually have them. This is a race. This is you want to give them a race amount of time, a short amount of time. And we do give prizes. So we'll give prizes down. So the goal is write as many down as you can. And then what do we give them? 5 or 10 minutes? Maybe, no more than that. It depends on the groups. If you put them in teams, or if it's individual, no more than, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes, no more. Maybe even like 7 minutes, let's say, in between. And then it's a race, and then we have them share out their best idea from those cards. They're taking at least 3 SDGs, 3 of the goals, and then they brainstorm things they can do on a personal level, things they can do at school, and things they can do in their community. So we can ask you guys to do a little. What do you think? Want to grab one? Which let's pick on Tessa. Tessa, which one excites you out of the 17? Did you see enough? Do we need to put the big list back up? What do you think?
I think just everybody have access to clean water.
Okay, clean water. So we'll jump to clean water. Okay. So what do you think your family can do? What do you think?
We could use the cups, the cups instead of buying water bottles.
Okay, great. Great. Okay. How about the school level? What can the school do? What do you think? And anyone could shout in, right? We can. Yeah, we can shout in. So Tammy or Leah, what do you guys think? Of course, they're talking about their school. So if you're doing it with the students, it would be whatever their school.
Well, the kids bring water bottles, which is great. So they can always get water from the water fountain.
Okay, perfect.
Put water in there instead of we don't even my school does not even allow, like, they no longer have vending machines, so they can't even buy stuff out of the vending machine to, like, even throw on the ground anyway.
Okay, for reducing waste, then that could be the reduced waste SDG if one of the kids picked that, or one of the students picked that. Okay, great. You could say get rid of vending machines. Excellent. And then how about community? What could we do for clean water in the community? What do you think? Anyone?
Just not litter, period. Like, stop the littering.
Stop the littering. Okay.
Exactly.
And when we ask the students we give them a short amount of time, they really brainstorm, and they're brainstorming and they're writing stuff down, and because we're giving them like a prize, it's kind of a race, and it goes really well. So let's pick one more SDG. Pick one, Leah. Which one? Tessa picked clean water. Why don't you pick one? What do you think? Do we need to put the sign up back again?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's okay.
Whoops, where are we
The
here?
big one. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, wait,
Oh,
wait.
as far as hunger, we could do hunger.
hunger. Let's do hunger. Okay, where's hunger?
It's number 2.
Number 2. Okay.
I think people just, we should all just come together and donate, like share.
I love that. I love
and
that.
Donate.
Okay.
Like I love donating. Like I
And-
have my family in Haiti now, and like Haiti is like it's a lot of chaos. It's a lot of, it's crazy right now.
So the community
They're
can
going
get
through
together,
that.
the school can help, the community can help, everyone can help then, donating food, and even some education, you or your family can help others, help other families in need. Great.
Right, and
Excellent.
portioning out the food as well, because sometimes the kids get too much of what they can't eat and they just throw out the rest, which could have went to somebody else.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, great.
And,
So go ahead.
I was just going to say that, Professor Kishbaugh, that you had mentioned education. The school can do some education to make sure that the kids know that there's problems with hunger, so that they would be more likely to donate.
Right, right. As long as they know that those options are out there. And then, of course, so by the time you're doing this exercise with them, you're going to realize that you'll cover probably 10 to 15 of them, right? Would you agree, Dr. Grinnell? Like you'll end up saying, okay, well, the zero hunger and education, so quality education, and then reduced inequalities. And then you realize, oh my gosh, we've just covered 10. So they really become familiar with, I believe, I've seen it. I've seen the light bulbs go on. I really believe they get to a point where you've gone over many of them. Some of them may not be relative, but we've got Life and Water being here in Florida, Life and Water. What do we do? Yeah, Life Below Water, because we've got the marine area. We live in Tampa Bay. That's a good one too that a lot of students pick. And again, then it would be garbage, reduce waste. Excellent. Anyone else want to share? Don't be shy. No. Okay.
Just recycle more, I guess.
Okay. Okay. And recycle covers a lot of them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Reducing waste, and it keeps you from polluting the water, and it keeps you from killing the fish. There's a lot of these are synergistic, that when you do something just to do one, it helps a lot of them.
Yeah, building communities is one of them. Communities, making the community better, and just generally, and we have this another exercise we can break down and show them the cause and effect. That's a different exercise that would come after this one. But yeah, sustainable cities and communities. That again, that's recycling. That's little waste. Feeding our families creates communities. Yeah. Okay, you guys got it. Okay. And the kids will get it. They get it pretty quickly. Alrighty. And then we have them write the idea down, and we'll give a prize. We'll count them up. We'll add up how many they have, and then we'll have them write it down, and then they can do some kind of collage. Some of our students have done it on computers, like maybe using even Canva if they've got access to computers. If not, they can just do it on paper or do it on a whiteboard. And then they kind of create visual images of these ideas. Storyboard, right? Storyboard, we could do storyboard. Okay, go ahead, Dr. G. There you go. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for participating. You all get a gold star.
So then, just to kind of complete the 9 steps of instruction, you'd want to give them a chance to practice and practice something that's hands-on. And so you could adapt this for what you want your students to look at, but this is a very simple homework project where they can just go home that night and go in and say, okay, how many people are leaving the lights on or leaving water running longer than it's needed? The things that are green are positive actions. And so recycling plastics and cans and whatever, and you can, again, adapt it. Playing sports is something that would be appropriate for K-12, but if you're doing this with adults, you might have something else that is, going to a gym or running or something along those lines for health. They just use slash marks or whatever to indicate how many times they catch somebody with lights on. And then, you know, if they need to clarify, they do a little description. They bring it back the next day and share it, and you give feedback. They share it within their team, they share it with you, and you give feedback on that. And then the next project, if you want to do a bigger project, that you would then assess their actual knowledge of sustainability, sustainable development goals, and whatever, would be to develop an improvement project. And you could have, it could be very short or it could be longer. This gives you a rubric that you can use for that, so that you can assess whether or not they would be able to complete it. And then you can also, if they are doing a home improvement project, or you could do a school improvement project. I've seen that done, and it's really good. And based upon that, then at the end of the year, you know, they've implemented their plan. They've said something like we're not going to leave lights on anymore, and they keep track of that. And they've looked at what it was on day one, and then they look at it again at the end of the year, and you know, whoever has the best results you can give them an award. So now it's your turn. We've gone through this before, and I know that you all are planning on doing some kind of a lesson plan and a video. And so you can use this lesson plan template if you want, or if you have another one that you prefer, that's perfectly fine. And write a lesson plan for some kind of an SDG project. And then this really helps you lay out what it is that you can do to help planning it. And so, you know, the content of each one of these 9 steps, you can give a little brief description of what it is. You can do this in PowerPoint too, or Canva, to help you plan it out. And then if you're going to do a video, you probably, well, some of you are very fluid and can just talk to the slides. But if you want to put it on YouTube and you don't want to do some of the hesitations that we tend to do when we're just talking off the cuff, then you might want to do a little script. If you're doing it using PowerPoint, we're going to talk about that in the next time, and recommend that you keep the scripts short. It makes it a lot easier for you to do your recording. So what we've done today is take a look at an activity that you can do to help students learn, master, use, evaluate, and make a difference in their personal lives, at the school, and maybe in the community. It's with the Sustainable Development Goals. You see how broad they are, that they cover so many topics, that if we were to make a difference in all of these, then that would just be amazing for our world. So I wanted to open it up for any questions. Do we have any questions?
Can I say, I want to say one thing. There is a video, and this is okay, but there's a video, like a 2-minute YouTube video and it's a wrap, and it's great. That does all 17. It's in 2 minutes. So you can put that on. The kids love it. And it's like, it's a guy going, "Yay, we got clean water. Yeah, he's great." And it's, the students seem to love it. So I think it's like a 2-minute video. It's out on YouTube. We can help you find it if you want to use it. And that couldn't take the place of you describing each SDG. It's like a 2 minutes YouTube video.
And another thing that we've done is ask the students to go, depending on their age. If they're older, we had them go and research. Our high school students this week, we had them go to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals website and explore and take a look at what they all were. There are also a lot of little 2- and 3-minute YouTube videos on each one of them, that you can find on YouTube. So, you know, there are a lot of opportunities that you don't have to necessarily take all the time in class to go through each of these. Any questions? Well, I am happy. I'm going to stop this recording.